The NFL playoffs are on the horizon, and we know several teams that will not make the 2021 playoffs, and we know or assume at this point several teams that will make the playoffs and will be competing for what teams set out to do each June when they show up at OTAs, and that's to win a Super Bowl. And in today's video, we are going to discuss a few teams that are going to be very tough outs because of the way they play their game, what will make them a tough out in January, and why they could win a Super Bowl. And spoiler, I'm not going to make a 10 to 11 minute video and use the Bucs as a team that's going to be a tough out and a thorn in a team's side and gush about Tom Brady for what would equate to nearly 30% of the video, because we know they're going to be a tough out and Tom is more than likely going to win the MVP this year, and again, it's really not needed or necessary. So without further ado, let's begin. And the first team we are going to discuss is the Los Angeles Chargers, and out of the teams in today's video, I think they are the most susceptible to being a first-round exit for a few reasons. To be clear, if they make the playoffs, which I think they will at this point, this does not mean Justin Herbert is trash, is a bust, and whatever mumbo-jumbo you see from Twitter trolls. What I mean by the most susceptible is in the wildcard round, head coach Brandon Staley could come out guns blazing and really be on his own level of energy, have his team put up 35 points, and his defense play fast, physical, and pissed off, to quote the 2018 Hall of Famer Ray Lewis. Or we could see them lay an egg like they did against the Broncos a few weeks ago, get beat by 14 points, and in the blink of an eye in 3 hours, boom, everything they worked for the 2021 season is over. And as I am recording this, they play the night this video releases and will kick off Week 15 against the Kansas City Chiefs in a game everyone is very much looking forward to, and this is, in a sense, a playoff game for the Chargers. KC is 9-4 and LA is 8-5, and at this point in time, LA can still very much host a playoff game and be a division champion, as crazy as that may sound. Full disclosure, I do expect the Chiefs to win and avenge their loss to them from earlier in the year, in which LA went into Arrowhead and won, but a season sweep of the vaunted Chiefs, and Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs at that, would be extremely encouraging for this team and only boost their confidence as they head into January and what should be, barring a 4-game collapse, the first of many postseason runs with Justin Herbert under center. And because of their volatility, they are truly an unpredictable team as we enter the home stretch. I would be very much surprised if they won a championship this year, simply because of how many other good teams there are in the NFL, and given the fact Herbert and the Chargers will more than likely have to go on the road at minimum twice in January, and I simply do not like their chances of doing that and then proceeding to win the big game. I do, however, think they will be an extreme pain in the rear end for the upper echelon teams of the AFC, and they will very much be a tough out in the playoffs. Now we drive up Interstate 5 to San Francisco to discuss Kyle Shanahan and his 49ers. As we know, San Francisco represented the NFC in the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago, only to come up just short of winning and ultimately losing to the Kansas City Chiefs. And despite the double-digit loss, as we remember the final score was 31-20, San Francisco was up by double digits in the fourth quarter, and the Chiefs scored a very late touchdown to make the loss look worse than really what it actually was. 2020 was not a fun year for the 49ers, as they had several injuries highlighted by star defensive end Nick Bosa tearing his ACL early in the year, and that, unfortunately for them, was indeed a sign of things to come. Fast forward to now, though, and they are a 7-6 football team and control their destiny as to whether or not they will get in the playoffs. 2021 did not look like it was going to be their year by any means a little over a month ago, as they were a 3-5 football team. Everyone, myself included, were calling them busts of the season, and that was after they lost by 2 touchdowns to the Colt McCoy-led Cardinals. However, since then, they've went 4-1 with a loss in Seattle, and I don't put much weight into that loss, strictly because every team loses games, and they have been doing their job over the past month, and very well at that. San Francisco recently beat the Bengals and will play the Falcons this week at home, and quite honestly, guys, I'm going to be extremely shocked if they don't win this game. San Fran then goes to Tennessee on Thursday night, play the Texans at home, and finish the season in LA against the Rams. So, with all of this being said, I would be very surprised if they don't finish with at least 9 wins. Remember, they have 7 now, and those would presumably be against the Falcons and Texans, and by the way, there is still very much a possibility they beat the Titans on Thursday night, a week from today, and even the Rams, as they did smoke them by 21 points last month. Now, they will be a tough out in the playoffs because of how they play football. They are a running team, and it's not as simple just to say, all right, let's load the box and take the run game out, because Kyle Shanahan is a very good X's and O's guy, and there's a reason why they quote-unquote have not been figured out yet. The 49ers are the ultimate pain in the side you can't get rid of, because they're also not a bad defensive team, and certainly not a team where you can assume you're going to get to put up 25 or 30 points heading into the week and get give-me's against them, because that is certainly not the case. And over the past 5 games, they have given up 19.8 points per game versus the 25.2 they gave up in the first 8 weeks of the year. They have vastly improved since then, and when you have teams like this, the ones that finish the season strong versus starting the season strong and then flame out by Halloween or by Thanksgiving, well, these teams are the ones you have to look out for. And because of that, the San Francisco 49ers will be a very tough out in January. And before we move on to the next team, I do want to briefly discuss a few others that, if they get in, will certainly be tough outs as well, and they are the Cleveland Browns and the Minnesota Vikings. Cleveland has much bigger problems at the moment with their COVID situation, but if they can somehow, someway get in, they're going to compete against anybody, and we saw that last year. And you could certainly argue that they were a touchback away from going to the AFC Championship game. No disrespect to the Chiefs or discredit to them. It was just very unfortunate with how that worked out with the Browns. Now, I don't think they're going to go to the AFC Championship game this year, but I most definitely expect them to be competitive no matter who they play. And as for the Vikings, yes, this team lost to the Detroit Lions, but this team also beat the Green Bay Packers and beat the Chargers in LA. To simply discredit them and say, Kirk Cousins, well, that's a poor take because of how well he has played this year. The defense is a liability, don't get me wrong, but this team has not lost to anyone by double digits, and that will continue. They have been up by at least 7 points in every single game this year, with the exception of the Lions game, ironically, given their record, but Minnesota is never an easy win, and the teams they've lost to this year would certainly agree. Now we head to Indianapolis to discuss the Colts, and there's a few reasons why they're here. While the Bills did go to the AFC Championship game last year, they hosted a playoff game in the wild card round against Indy that was A, an incredibly fun game to watch, and B, proved why the Colts are never going to be an easy out in January. Yes, they did end up losing this game, but it's not like Buffalo ran over them, chewed them up, and spit them out, and whoever the Colts play this year, assuming they make the tournament, will be experiencing the same, because they won't. Jonathan Taylor and, of course, Quentin Nelson get a lot of love, and rightfully so. And Jonathan had 5 total touchdowns when they played Buffalo this year, and while Buffalo is not 11-2 or 10-3, or unfortunately at this point not even leading the AFC East, Indy can and will, as they quote us, run the damn ball. And if they go to a team like New England in the postseason, and a team they will play this Saturday night, by the way, I'm very much looking forward to Chiefs-Chargers tonight and Colts-Patriots Saturday, well, teams won't want to play Indy. And they're not just a two-man team of an elite and probable future Hall of Fame guard and a running back who could win the Offensive Player of the Year. Cooper Kupp could also win, by the way. That's why I said could for Jonathan and not will. Well, Indy has given up the 9th least points in the league, and if Carson Wentz does not turn the ball over and have an interception like the one against the Titans, you guys know the one, the 2-yard pick six, then the sky truly is the limit for this team. Now, this will admittedly sound controversial, but why couldn't the Colts go into Kansas City and win? We know they can run the ball, and the Chiefs are allowing the 6th most yards per carry out of any run defense across the entire NFL, not just the AFC, but all 32 teams. Now, I don't necessarily think they will, please understand that, but I also want to point out it's not impossible to suggest this. They ran into a very good Buffalo team last year, and I really do hope for Frank Reich's sake they win at least one playoff game this year, because I do think he is a very good coach and has a very talented roster. It's just getting the luck about playing and winning a playoff game. Winning playoff games is never easy. And with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, I kindly ask you to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it would mean the world. And until next time, guys, please be safe and have a great day.